President Biden joined the picket line in Michigan today to stand in solidarity with auto workers 12 days after they went on strike. The White House says it's the first time a sitting president has done that in modern times. The high-profile trip to a swing state comes a day before former President Donald Trump plans his own visit with auto workers. CBS's Skylar Henry reports from the White House.
President Biden stood with striking auto workers on the picket lines in Michigan Tuesday, telling them they saved the auto industry back in 2008.
Gave up a lot, and the companies were in trouble. But now they're doing incredibly well. And guess what? You should be doing incredibly well, too.
He was joined by United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain.
Thank you, Mr. President, for coming. Thank you for coming to stand up with us in our generation's defining moment.
The UAW has been on strike against Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis for 12 days now.
What do we want? Contract! What do we want? Now!
Among other things, workers are seeking a 36% raise over 4 years, and they want to extend union protections to workers at 10 electric vehicle battery factories.
I'm helping to get these younger generation a good pay.
President Biden calls himself the most pro-union president ever. His trip comes one day before former president and 2024 GOP frontrunner Donald Trump is set to speak with auto workers himself in Michigan.
President Biden, Mr. Trump, either way, they have a right to come.
As the strike expands, the economic impacts are already being felt. Ford announced Monday it would pause work on a $3.5 billion electric vehicle plant in Michigan. And some automotive suppliers in the state are warning that layoffs may soon be necessary. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
UAW President Shawn Fain called the Ford's halting of work on the Michigan EV battery plant, quote, shameful and a barely veiled threat to cut jobs. And with a government shutdown just a few days away, Congress is moving into crisis mode. There is no clear path ahead as lawmakers return with tensions high and options limited. The House is expected to vote sometime this evening on a package of bills to fund parts of the government, but it is not all clear if the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has the support needed to move ahead.
A government shutdown is in no one's interest. It's not in the best interest of the people who work for the federal government. It's not in the best interest of the American people. It's not in the best interest of the people we represent. And so we think that by pushing forward earnestly with this effort, we hope to garner the support necessary to move a CR.
Against mounting chaos, President Biden warned the Republican conservatives off their hardline tactics, saying funding the federal government is, quote, one of the most basic fundamental responsibilities of Congress, end quote. The Pentagon says a government shutdown will harm national security and force about 1.3 million active duty troops to work without receiving pay. The Biden administration says a shutdown would also result in hundreds of civilian Department of Defense employees being furloughed. The Pentagon says a shutdown would result in a skeleton crew working at the Department of Defense, which would leave the U.S. military at a disadvantage with its rivals.
This has incredible impacts for our national security, for our readiness, but most importantly for our military families who still have apartment bills to pay, rent, mortgages, childcare, schools for kids. These are all bills that you incur day to day.
The Pentagon says they have virtually no options to help service members who do not receive paychecks. A looming government shutdown is just days away, and that could halt many operations. But one that will not stop is Social Security payments. The checks will keep coming if the federal government shuts down next week. The government says more than 66.7 million Americans were receiving Social Security checks as of August. Social Security payments can continue because they are mandatory spending, and the money comes from a trust fund. Hunter Biden is suing Rudy Giuliani and his former attorney. The president's son claims they reportedly hacked his devices, violating federal and state computer privacy laws. The suit claims Biden says Giuliani and Robert Costello spent years manipulating, copying, disseminating, and obsessing over data they were given that was taken or stolen from his devices. Earlier this month, he brought a similar civil suit against a former Trump White House aide. The House Oversight Committee has announced witnesses for its first hearing this week in the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. The Thursday hearing will focus on constitutional and legal questions. Witnesses will include former Assistant Attorney General Eileen O'Connor, George Washington University Law School professor Jonathan Turley, and a forensic accounting expert. None of them appear to have direct knowledge of the claims against Biden. Former President Donald Trump wants to have a possible gag order rejected. Lawyers for Trump filed a 25-page memo last night saying special counsel Jack Smith's requested gag order is unconstitutional and a, quote, desperate effort at censorship. Prosecutors asked U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan to limit Trump's ability to talk about issues including the identity and testimony from potential witnesses. The governors of Florida and California will soon face off in a televised debate. Fox News said the date has been set for Ron DeSantis and Governor Gavin Newsom to go head-to-head. It will happen November 30th in Georgia. Fox News anchor Sean Hannity will be the moderator. The debate will air on Fox News during the 9 p.m. primetime hour of Hannity for 90 minutes. Additional details, include the exact location, have not yet been released. The justices of the Supreme Court have returned to Washington as their approval ratings plummet to new lows. Today, the 9 justices had planned to meet in person for the first closed-door conference of the new term. All eyes are on Chief Justice John Roberts and how he navigates the current docket. So far, the court has struggled to respond to the controversy in the wake of cases like the Dobbs decision, overturning Roe v. Wade.
We are tracking mild and dry weather into this evening across the mountains. Here's a live look from Pikeville to Hazard to London. Watching out for those blue skies back in the distance. Those temperatures right now in the middle to upper 70s for most of us, but a little bit warmer in the Cumberland Valley. Got up to 88 degrees earlier today in Somerset, also Monticello, down to the middle to lower 80s right now. A little bit cooler in the Big Sandy Valley, the middle to lower 70s for Prestonsburg, also Pikeville and Grundy as well at this hour. Up on the radar, we are quiet, and that dry weather is going to continue as we go into this evening, also tonight, but we are watching out for some changes as we get into your Wednesday. Now, as you can see on the drought monitor, the new one will come out on Thursday, but right now, though, we are watching out for a few areas of abnormally dry conditions. It has been dry across the mountains for about a week now, maybe even longer than that in some areas, and we are tracking some beneficial rainfall to return to the region by tomorrow, also into your Thursday. Some of the rain, though, could be a little bit heavy in some places, watching out for maybe a few thunderstorms as well. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Chas?
Thanks, Cameron. Starting next month, benefits for SNAP are going up. They're expected to climb by about 3% during the next year. While the increase may not seem like a lot, policy analysts stress every dollar counts for struggling families. SNAP, also known as food stamps, to many is designed to help provide additional funding to low-income families to buy groceries. For many, the extra money is much needed as inflation is still playing a major role in the economy. The U.S. government is working to restore sweeping regulations for high-speed internet providers. Under the proposed rules, the Federal Communications Commission would designate internet service as essential communications to traditional telephone services. As an essential service, internet service providers like AT&T, Comcast, and Verizon would be banned from blocking or slowing down access to websites and online content. UPS is hiring for the holiday season, and it's paying workers more than ever before. The package delivery company is looking to hire more than 100,000 workers to help with the holiday rush. Seasonal package drivers will get starting pay at $23 an hour, with package handlers starting at $21 an hour. The seasonal work could lead to year-round employment. You can apply online at jobs-ups.com. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, the real estate market is tough right now, whether you're looking to buy or build. And experts share the pros and cons of building a home.
And we go back to the 80s by this weekend, tracking warmer weather after this break.